What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are here with a practice report. That's right, it is Thursday, so we have the second practice report of the week. Now, we didn't do a video on this yesterday. I wanted to, okay, but yesterday's kind of my busy day with a lot of different shows. Also, you may have noticed some of the blue in the hair. All right, look, it's not everywhere. I understand that. I don't really want to do the sides, you know what I mean, because then it's going to be everywhere. It's probably going to be an absolute mess. So the top works well for me. It kind of looks like a little faded now, but trust me, on Sunday, this thing will be popping again. And yes, we are doing this for Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is the support. So if you guys want to get involved, I made a post on X when I first did it, all right? I understand it's not perfect. I did it myself, okay? But if you want to do it as well, go for it, man. Send me some pictures, tag me, be like, yo, my hair's blue. We're doing this thing, all right? That's something that, you know, I thought I'd start something here. Maybe I'd start a trend. I don't think I started a trend, but I still kind of like it, so I rock with it. I'm going to be rocking with this throughout the playoffs for the Detroit Lions. But outside of that, today we have the second practice report. We have some injury updates, and this is a big week, so we're going to dive into it. Let's get it started. Welcome, everybody, to our video. Glad you guys are here, and yes, man, we are back with another practice report. I don't know that I've ever been this excited for a practice report. Honestly, like, if it's good news, I'm excited. I'm usually excited in the past. But I'm so pumped up, man, about this game on Sunday. So I'm just fired up, man. Every video this week, I'm fired up. I just dropped my preview/prediction video, though I didn't throw a score prediction in that video. I just dropped it if you want to see basically my whole preview layout. However, we may be getting some massive news at the tight end position. You guys know who I'm talking about. That's Sam LaPorta. And he may end up playing this weekend. If he does play this weekend, this is absolutely going to be something that we revisit on Sunday. We're going to talk even more about this offense and talk about how Sam LaPorta can have such an impact in this offense against this defense in particular. I talked about it a little bit in my preview video, but not a ton. A lot of it was because I didn't think he'd be playing in this game. However, we got some optimistic news today. So we'll have to see on that one, but I did talk about it a little bit. So again, it's still worth checking out that video. We talk about pretty much everything outside of a lot of the tight end usage, but I do show a key clip in there and why I think having tight ends in this game like LaPorta and being able to play 12 personnel, being able to go heavy packages is such an advantage against this LA Rams team. Kind of in a way that their advantage is that they play so much 11 personnel that they use the receivers almost like tight ends to block, and defensively you have to kind of match up personnel to that, so they get a lot of lighter boxes. For us, an advantage has been the ability to utilize multiple tight ends, force defenses to try to match that personnel, open up the passing attack for a team like the LA Rams, where one of their worst matchups to me is going to be if you have a healthy Sam LaPorta you got to deal with, and also James Mitchell in that mix. Don't forget about Brock Wright being healthy as well. That receiving threat versus that second level of defense that they have, their edge defenders, their off-ball linebackers that they'll put into those spots, that is a tough matchup, okay? That is going to be a tough matchup, and I think the Lions have Sam LaPorta. They would love to be able to lean into that offensively, lean into the heavy personnel offensively to not only run the football, but also because we're going to need to be able to block those edge, play these really wide alignments in this defense, but also for the passing attack, it's going to be massive. So with that being said, let's take a look. Let's dive into the Lions side of the injury report. Let's see what we have here. And today I would say, honestly, man, it's really just a lot of good news. We do have a no participation here for Teddy Bridgewater due to personal. We'll kind of keep an eye on that thing, but he was not listed yesterday. We'll keep an eye on what's going there with Teddy Bridgewater. However, outside of that, we have Jerry Jacobs, no participation today. This is a downgrade from yesterday, as you can see, where he had limited participation dealing with the thigh/knee injury. Lions, of course, have depth. We've mainly seen Jerry Jacobs on special teams. He plays like a gunner. So this is real. You would really feel that. I would expect Kendall Vildor is going to continue to start for the Lions. They do have a backup in Khalil Dorsey as well, but you love to have Jerry Jacobs out there, even if it's just for special teams. Sam LaPorta, now understand, he's listed with no participation. However, I have a clip and I'm going to play it. This is what Sam LaPorta said today about him recovering from his injury.
Reps today at practice, starting to feel better day by day, and see where it takes me tomorrow, and really just taking it day at a time. Because when it first happened, it didn't feel great. Yeah, I'm optimistic. Certainly a little scary when it first happened. I mean, I think everybody had probably seen a picture of it. There was definitely a sigh of relief when I found out structurally everything was good. I was taking the same blocking reps that we do in our individual drill. I was getting reps of those. Ran some routes with Jared. So yeah.
Feels good now? I mean,
I'm working through it. It's easy to say it.
So yeah, as you guys saw right there, they asked basically, are you optimistic? Yeah, he's optimistic. It didn't sound like, it feels great. Like LaPorta's like, hey, it feels awesome. But it's like, all right, I'm getting through it. I'm going to try. It's the playoff game, right? Guys try to fight through and play things. Now, it's different if you're not 100%, and I don't want to ever say 100% because I'm sure these guys are never 100% once the season starts. But it could be different, to have a Sam LaPorta that's a little bit beat up. I think he would understand how big of an impact he could actually have in this game. We know he's had a big impact all year, but the thing is with this defense, right, whether that's Byron Young, Michael Hoyt, Ernest Jones, Roseboom, you go to Jordan Fuller at safety, right? Like, Jordan Fuller, I really like him in zone coverage, right? And these linebackers are so flexible. They can drop, they can rush. They're threatening like that, especially because they have very athletic guys that can rush the passer. Throw Nick Hampton into the mix. But what I do think they lack is they lacked really good coverage pieces for that matchup specifically. And one of the teams that I thought took a lot of advantage of that was Dallas. Now, this was at the time that Ferguson was a very big part of this Dallas offense, but they took advantage of being able to utilize multiple tight ends, heavier personnel, put the linebackers/edge defenders in the mix, force them to give help over top, create one-on-one matchups with linebackers. This is a team that plays a lot of that switch man as well, but also in zone coverage underneath. Like, they were such a big part of that game.
Here's some statistics to put this in perspective on how the Rams do against tight end, just statistically per game. You can see it's not great. I also put the Cowboys statistics in that game that they had such a big impact. On top of that, again, I don't like their matchups for it. Even at the safety position, I don't think they have great matchups for the tight end position. Again, I think Jordan Fuller, as good as he is in zone, man, you can beat him one-on-one, and guys can separate. Even when the ball wasn't going there, you felt like guys were getting open. That is just not a matchup I think they want to have to deal with. Plus, we just talk about putting him on the outside. Last time we played the LA Rams, TJ Hockenson, he was a big part of our offense, but lining him out wide against a couple of guys that aren't great at the top of the route, minimizing some of the size advantage that a guy like Witherspoon would have, while at the same time trying to get better matchups for Jameson or Josh Reynolds on some of those number 2, number 3 cornerbacks that are a little bit undersized and definitely don't deal with speed well. That position, LaPorta, the impact that he could have, massive.
That position can be such a big part of this game, and that's not even diving or touching into what they can mean in terms of the rush game, specifically on some of the outside zone looks as well against these edge defenders that, you could argue are a little bit undersized, maybe not, but I do think the way that our tight ends have blocked, they're going to see a lot of those matchups just because of the way that they align pre-snap, and you're going to have to be able to block those guys up with double teams, James Mitchell, Sam LaPorta, so they're going to have a massive impact across the board, and I think the Lions know how valuable it'd be to be able to put heavy personnel on the field. It's been valuable to them all season long. They know how valuable it would be to have them in this game. So I hope Sam LaPorta can play. I really do. And I'll say this, if Sam LaPorta is able to play in this game, right, I wasn't able to find one exactly for, this playoff run or for the postseason right now. Maybe I'm able to find this as we continue to get closer to this weekend's game. However, I did look it up. You know how people talk about being healthy at the right time, right? It is the right time to be healthy. We're at the end of the season and we're healthy. And a lot of times those teams end up making the run in the playoffs, right? It's a lot of times who's healthy at the end of the year. So to put this into context, and it doesn't always work out like this every year, so I don't want to act like, well, just because you're healthy, you're winning the Super Bowl. That's not how it works. However, last year, depending on where you went, they ranked each team's health heading into the playoffs. Last year, USA Today ranked the Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles as 2 and 3 in terms of health entering the playoffs. Now, a team like San Fran, obviously, they just got, hit in the face with that. That was just super unfortunate with what took place there. But those were 2 of the healthiest teams entering the playoffs, and obviously they met each other in the Super Bowl. So, again, we know how important that is, and if the Lions are able to get Sam LaPorta to play in this game, if he's able to play in this game and he's still effective in this game, which is really the other key to this as well, with what it looks like they're potentially getting back, maybe. Now, they didn't sound super optimistic early in the week, Dan Campbell that is, in terms of a guy like James Houston playing, dealing with the ankle injury, but back-to-back days of full participation. According to Aaron Glenn, he wants to see him out in practice and see him be effective in practice, not just out there, but he needs to see him be effective, look healthy, and if he is, he's like, we'll get him out there, we'll get him some snaps, and again, even if it's just a limited role to maybe you're dropping a little bit underneath the coverage or you're rushing the passer, but you're mainly our third down piece, we'll take that. We would absolutely take that. I think the energy it would bring to the locker room just to know that that guy's there, but also the intensity that would bring to a pass rush, and I think we're going to be aggressive in this game. If you check out my preview video, I think the Lions are going to be extremely aggressive in this game, and because that, a guy like James Houston can only really help, especially if he's in just some of those situational spots.
Definitely be a little more rowdy than the regular season. Preferably, this is my personal request, is to get loud as the quarterback is getting in the huddle. as opposed to after he breaks the huddle. So that's my request, but outside of that, just be really rowdy.
Continuing on, doesn't look great for Kylie Freeman. No participation once again there. So again, we'll probably be without our punt returner and also some receiver depth. But as we pointed out yesterday, the positive is that a guy like Jamison Williams had full participation for the second straight day, and he did feel, Dan Campbell, optimistic about him and Brock Wright both being able to play this weekend. As you can see, both of those guys are full participation. Speaking to that, more positives, Brian Branch full participation second straight day, John Kaminsky full participation second straight day. Now he was listed with illness, so it's a little bit different there. And then the offensive linemen, all these offensive linemen that we saw yesterday, no participation, no participation, no participation. They're all full participation today because they were all having rest on Wednesday as they went through their walkthrough. So to see them all participation makes you feel very good about where those guys are at heading into Friday as kind of that final practice day for the practice report. And then on top of it, other good news, Cam Sutton, full participation for the second straight day. Again, we're going to need a guy like that in this game. With that being said, that is the Lions side of the injury report. Now, before we transition over to the Rams side of the injury report, I first want to talk about our partner for this NFL season, and that is BetUS, man. Use that top link in the description. Deposit at least $100. You can get a 125% match up to $2,500. But I really want to share with you is that BetUS is giving away some Super Bowl tickets, and you can potentially win those tickets. You can get involved here. Now, the rules on how this is going to work are going to be in the description. It's also about to pop up on the screen here, but you can get in this action. Lions fans, I mean, this is something that's worth doing. If you're already doing sports betting, you might as well do it here on BetUS because you could enter yourself into an opportunity to win some Super Bowl tickets, and who wouldn't want those darn Super Bowl tickets? All right, so if you want to try to win these Super Bowl tickets and you're going to do sports betting anyways, this is the best way to use. Again, use that top link in the description. You make any bet on any NFL line for a minimum of $25, and you can see you follow those rules, and you'll give yourself a chance to win some Super Bowl tickets. On the left side, you can see all of these sports that they offer. Man, they offer pretty much every single sport you could imagine. They also, of course, have your simple money line spreads. You can see that here in the middle, as well as your market. So if you want to get into some of the prop bets that we do each week, that is your way to doing that, as well as future bets. Maybe you want to bet on who's going to win the NFC. There's a spot to do that. Maybe you want to take a look at, man, I want to bet on who I think is going to win the MVP this year. You've seen the season, so let them know, man. Make some of those future bets as well. So have casino games. They have a race book. They have different promotions that you should absolutely check out, as well as live betting if you create an account. And finally, they have an FAQ page if you have any questions, but their customer service is great. Or you could also get involved in their loyalty program. And how you do that, you just start making some bets with BetUS. You'll get great awards that come with it by joining their loyalty program. Finally got the Rams side of the practice report because of the time difference, so let's go through it. First off, we have Joe Noteboom with no participation, who I guess you could say is their left tackle, but he's played everywhere on the offensive line this season. Now, I do have a Lark Jackson who has stepped in at that left tackle position. He's actually played pretty well this season, so they should be fine there. Noteboom's played left tackle, right guard, and right tackle. The positive for them on the offensive line is that Havenstein is returning to practice today as their right tackle, so that is a big positive for their offensive line. Another big one, though, is actually Jordan Fuller. This is one of their starting safeties alongside Josh Johnson. Now, they do have a guy that's played a ton this season. We saw him specifically in their last game of the season. We saw him play a lot, but he's played a ton this season outside of that up until really week 15, 16, and 17, and that's Russ Yeast. Now, he's a little bit maybe undersized, you could say, and that's because he's a former cornerback to safety, and this is really the case with a lot of their depth when you look at the roster. It's kind of because of how their roster is built with the transition that they've had to make over the last couple seasons from where they were salary cap wise and with the age they had of certain players. So we've seen a lot of new young pieces onto this roster, which means that sometimes you don't really see it as much as the starters, but you really start to see it once you start to go to that depth, and safety would be a good example of that. Weirdly enough, I think I have an autographed football card of Russ Yeast just from a random pack that I opened a year ago. But I guess it's pretty cool. Russ Yeast has played this year, and he's played pretty well this season. Also have an option of a guy like Jason Taylor, another young safety, who has allowed a 109.7 passer rating when he's been on the field, but he hasn't played nearly as many snaps. So you do have a guy with tons of experience this season already that they can plug in at safety there. But I do think Jordan Fuller is a really good player. I think he's one of their best players in the back end that you have to be worried about. So that is pretty massive. Troy Reeder as well. Now, they have answers at linebacker, specifically with what they have between Roseboom and then also Ernest Jones. So they should be fine there as well. That's more of a depth thing because, again, then you're looking at really young pieces stepping in for depth right there. And, again, that's just kind of the case throughout the roster. You see it on the offensive line as well. Kevin Dotson, the right guard, he's dealing with a shoulder injury. Now, he had limited participation again, but also if they have to go to their backup there, you're looking at another young player, a former 7th-round pick, just from a few years ago, that would be asked to step in at that right guard position. And Kevin Dotson's been one of of their better offensive linemen. I remember he played really well before going to LA. So Kevin Dotson has been really a key piece specifically to this offense as a run blocker, and they would see a pretty significant downgrade, I think, if he doesn't play in this game. However, it's limited participation, so I'd assume he's probably going to go. And as well as Tyler Higbee. Now, he's a massive part, right? We didn't know if he was going to play, I think, early in this week. Last week, he didn't play last week, so we weren't really sure if he was going to play this week. But limited participation to me is probably a positive with Tyler Higbee. He is a massive part. Okay, we talked about him in the preview. Third downs, key situations. He's a matchup piece for them. If he can't go, they do have Davis Allen, who we've seen this year, young player out of Clemson. Not that dynamic. We know Tyler Higbee is big, especially with what he can do once the ball gets in his hands. I wouldn't say Davis Allen is that dynamic, but he's also a really solid piece. I remember talking about him when he was coming out of the draft. So those are some of the key updates over there on the Rams side. We're going to leave it right there. Again, man, I want to give a shout out to our partner for this NFL season. That is BetUS. Use that top link in the description. You deposit at least $100. You get 125% match up to $2,500, man. It's worth checking out. Try to win some of those Super Bowl tickets, man. Get in on the action. The NFL season, man, it's flying by. If you haven't got in on it yet, this is me telling you to try it. If you're old enough, this is me telling you to give it a shot. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Appreciate y'all watching. Thank you, Prop, for watching, and I'm out.